Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Enigmatica 2 Expert. So, I'm not actually ready to start recording right now, but I have something to show you guys. So, I went ahead and I fluxed out our island, right? I started just like dumping tons and tons and tons of flux into the world, and then I chunk loaded it, and I went and did something for a few hours, and I came back. And we have something beautiful created. So let's warp over to the temporary Thaumcraft area. Look at this. It's really gross here. There is taint wood logs, which we can collect. And let's go ahead and scan those. We've learned something new. And we can scan like all these things. All this like fibrous taint, swollen taint, and all that stuff. It's icky. I feel icky. So anyways, if we pop out here, I mean, this is just grody. There we go. Tainted rock. Right there is a giant taint seed. And it's a little bit grody too. And see, it's spawning taint tendrils around here. Let me go ahead and scan it. Research completed, taint seed. Okay. Let's pop up here. Let's take a look at our research. Should be under fundamentals. There it is. Taint seed. Occasionally tight knots of tainted tendrils will form. From out of this seed, foul tainted air will spew, which acts as the basis for new taint growth. These seeds can lash out to defend themselves, but the risk must be taken if you wish to rid an area of taint. Without the foul air, these seeds create tainted growth, soon withers and dies. Okay. So, and you can see there's a rift right there. There was a rift right up here, but it's gone. And then, which basically it's just been making taint. And there's another rift right there. And we have a giant taint seed right here as well. So let's take this on. Let's kill it. It actually does quite a bit of damage to us, as you can tell. They have a lot of health. Okay, we killed one. We have killed one. And we got, I think, Vidium V crystals. Nothing great. Nothing too great here. And a little bit of flux into the air. Awesome. Awesome. Look at all the flux just raining down. It's wonderful. Okay, let's pop on down here. There's just slimes diving off constantly. Just constantly just diving off and dying. Good place to get slime balls, I guess. Oh wow, look at that. Giant thaumic slime. This place is pretty grody. Like, not gonna lie, this place is pretty gross. In fact, I can't even, like, get back to my hub. There we go. Okay. I'll warp on through here. I got the flux flu, but that should be okay. And we got some taint wood logs. I don't know that I want to actually... I don't know that I actually want to do anything with these things as far as building goes. Anyways, give me just a minute. I'm going to make another collapser. I basically just have to... I mean, they're pretty easy. I've made one. I actually have 15 void seeds at the moment. I've made one since the end of last episode. So, okay, I'm basically going to need some Vidium and some Ender Pearl. So, give me just a little bit. I'm going to get another collapser made, and we're going to go collapse that giant rift that's over there. Okay, there's two more collapsers. And let's go ahead and warp over to the temp thaum. By the way, I did come here. You can see I pulled up most of the wood. I just vein mined it, because this stuff has like 5... Oh, there's porous stone. This stuff's actually pretty nice. The tainted rock will become porous stone. If you break this... that one we just got gravel. Sometimes you can get like diamonds and stuff out of them. So after all this stuff changes over, we can actually get some pretty nice stuff from it. But anyways, that huge rift. Let's go ahead and toss that at it. There we go. It's going to start breaking down. Right now I have 15 void seeds. Uh-oh. It's so bad here. Wait, there's 2 tears here? Really? Oh, hey. There's one of our buddies. Like, I'm actually taking damage here. Giant taint seed. Which actually, I'm half tempted to... I probably should leave these guys alive. That actually looks like a pretty big rift, too. It's kind of ripping up through the... Let's see. I want to get a good look at this thing. That's a pretty decent one. I've got 25 void seeds, so we want to go ahead and bust it. I mean, these causality collapsers really aren't that hard to make. This is such a mess. So disgusting. Yeah, let's bust it. Whatever. That's a pretty big one, so... Get it. So I got 25 void seeds. And now we got 33. I still haven't got what I was looking for, so... Yeah, I should probably, if the... If another spore spawns, I should probably let it spawn. Like, let them spawn and let them spread the taint. Because I'm probably going to need a bunch of taint. I'll tell you what, though. If you need slime balls, like... There's slime balls aplenty here. Oh, there's another porous stone. That one had a Cognito V crystal. Look, that slime's like trying to die, but he just can't manage it. Gosh! There is slime balls everywhere. There's another rift right there. It's like there's constantly just rifts spawning all over the place. Because this place is just so nasty. This is where our spell casts come in handy. They really, really do. Okay. There we go. That's all I wanted was my Nitor. Oh, and I got Deadly Gaze 4. What this does is, if we come over here and we look at something, it does damage to it. Even like passive creatures. So, yeah, there's a taint seed. I'm just going to let that stay and let it create like a new taint area. And I'm just going to keep letting the taint area spread is what I'm going to do. So I'm actually going to like chunk load this little area for now. Okay, I wanted to bring you guys back just really, really quick to show you, like, because I killed those taint swarms, there's not a whole lot of moths or anything here like there was. The taint seeds, not the taint swarms. But I wanted to show you, I'm kind of just waiting for these rifts to grow and do their thing. And basically they're feeding off the flux in the area. But look at some of the sizes of these. Like, I've got one that spans all the way through there, and then it kind of goes underground somewhere. And then over here, this one that just kind of like popped up out of nowhere, that's going like underground. And then we've got them all over the place, by the way. We've got one right there that's kind of like growing into that tower. We've got this one up here that's kind of cool. It's kind of like curved. And it's actually grown quite a bit here lately. And then if we pop down here, this one, I've been feeding this chunk a bit, and this one has grown a lot. So, and it goes down into the leaves there. And I don't even know how far down. It's getting pretty large, to say the least. And if you hold the thermometer, you can actually, if you hold shift, say 4054, 4053, 51, it's steadily going down. That's because it's feeding off of the flux in this chunk. And then eventually it's going to pop and make, you know, a taint seed, giant taint seed. And by the way, I did go ahead and I made some more void metal with the void seeds. And I also crafted up a bunch of causality collapsers. Because we need them. Or I would like to have them. We don't necessarily need them, but they're nice to have on hand. A nice little stockpile of them. And what I've been using for the Vidium, now that we've got this stuff going, Vidium is super easy. You know, we were using that Twilight Forest stuff before. Now what I've been using is Taintwood logs. These are a super easy way, especially with this place where it was like covered in wood. I vein mined a lot of that taint wood, and this stuff has 5 Vidium. which is actually perfect for whenever you're making void metal. It needs 5 vidium, so there you go. Do a little bit of taint, like 1 taint wood per void metal, and then iron ingots. 2 iron ingots makes 3 void metal ingots, so it actually goes pretty quick once you have access to the seeds and the ingots and all that stuff. But anyways, I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm just kind of waiting for these taint, or these rifts, to just keep feeding, and then eventually they're going to pop and they're going to make things, and then there will be much rejoicing. So, anyways, I'll be back a bit later. Okay, it has been a while since I last cut. It's weird to actually see the rain in this pack, because we're normally like underground, but if you look around, this place is an absolute mess of taint. And there are rifts everywhere, and it's just all around disgusting. It really, really is. So, anyways, I have been working for a big portion of the day to get a Primordial Pearl. And I did a bunch of testing, and I have information for you guys. There's a number of different ways that you can get the Primordial Pearls at the moment. Of course, I think it's going to be added, later on, it's going to be added to the, the dungeon. But first up, if you kill the giant Taint sickle, it's a 100% chance that you're going to get an 8 out of 8 durability Primordial Pearl every single time. The only thing is, I don't know that those are spawnable. I was never able to get any spawned. I did find a post online saying that you were supposed to be able to spawn them in tainted biomes, but I never was able to replicate that. I was never able to get a giant Taint sickle to spawn outside of creative mode. But you can spawn those in creative mode. It's a 100% chance you're going to get a pearl every single time. Now, second up, you can close rifts, like I mentioned. From what I did a bit of testing in my test world, the larger the rift, the higher chance that you have. It's not much, but you do get a higher chance when you have larger rifts. Max size rifts, it still takes about 8 to 9 rifts before you get a pearl, in my experience. So about 8 or 9 rifts. I was actually closing medium rifts, medium-sized rifts, like just kind of like your average rift that you would find where you're kind of like, oh, that's not a tiny rift. I was closing those, and I got it after about 12 rifts. It does take a bunch of collapsers, but I mean they're cheap, so it's not really a big deal. I don't know about the smaller ones, but it's not. I don't think it's a big enough issue to worry about. I don't think it's a big enough chance increase to worry about making bigger rifts. Like if you find medium ones, close them, and you're going to get a pearl after a while. So, not to mention you're going to get a lot of void seeds. Like I have. Well, I've got about 2 stacks of void seeds at the moment. And then I've also got some void metal. So, like right here, see, I've almost got 2 stacks of void seeds. I got 21 void metal. So you're going to build up a nice stockpile. To the point, like, we're going to probably end up setting up a siphon, maybe. But it's actually not that important for us right now because it takes so many rifts through, like, normal luck to get a pearl that you've got plenty of void seeds. It's not going to be an issue, so... but yeah, it took me about 12 rifts, I think. And also, Tyler came to the island earlier and broke a rift as well, so he didn't get one. So technically, there was like 13 rifts that were broken before a pearl dropped. Okay. Of course, it all depends on your luck. Now, also, if you find the Thaumcraft loot bags. By the way, whenever you break a rift, you're going to get, in my experience, you always get a 4 out of 8 Primordial Pearl, like 4 out of 8 durability. But then there's also these treasure bags from Thaumcraft. These are very rarely, like we're talking, it's pretty rare. They can give Primordial Pearl pieces. I was getting like 2 out of 8 ones on it in my test world. And then also, according to JEI, you can get Primordial Pearls from the crates and urns that spawn in those dungeons. But of course, those dungeons where you get the treasure bags and you get the crates and the urns, those are pretty rare. So honestly, I wouldn't, unless you just happen to get lucky in one of those, I wouldn't bank on those as being your source for your pearl. And then lastly, I heard that you can occasionally, very, 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 very rarely, Pex can give it. Okay? So that's how you can get your Primordial Pearl. And it's going to have so much out of 8 durability. 8 durability is the max. Like, this is a max durability Primordial Pearl. I actually started with a 4 out of 8, and I'll show you here in just a second how I did that, how I fixed it. But now that we've got that, what we can do is we can craft things. If you recall, I said that I wanted to make not the furnace, the Smeltery. I want to make the Void Metal Essentia Smeltery. This is the very first thing that I want to make. Requires 750V, the standard Essentia Smeltery, and then, is it really? It's not even the Thaumium one? Aha. So that means I've got to make another one of those things. But to be fair, I actually need 2 of the Void Metal Essentia Smelteries, I think. Yeah, I think that's what I want to go with. No, actually, no, I think 1 would be good. Yeah, I think I only need 1, but... So, anyways, I need to craft up another one of those. But we're also going to need the Advanced Alchemical Construct. And this is where we're going to need our Primordial Pearl. We need 2 Alchemical Constructs and 2 Void Metal Plates to craft this. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a couple Void Metal. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and pull out these Alchemical Constructs because we're actually going to need these for some other stuff. And then in addition, I'm going to need, 5 more Void Metal, 2 brass plates, 4 brass plates. And then let's pop down, and we should be all set to craft. I did make another caster's gauntlet. I threw mine into, I can't remember if that was on camera, I threw it into the crucible on accident. So I lost my little ice spell, but that's fine. We're going to make a new one, so it's not really a big deal. But okay, so first up, the Essentia Smeltery, I'll go ahead and just put that into there. There's that. And then the Void Metal Smeltery, we're going to need the Advanced Alchemical Construct. Let's go ahead and grab that. That's 174V, and you can see it did 1 durability damage to the Primordial Pearl. So you do have a limited number of uses, but I'm gonna show you a way to fix that. Really easy way to fix that. And then there is our Void Metal Essentia Smeltery. There we go. And honestly, this is kind of like the end-all, be-all of Thaumcraft. Once you get the Primordial Pearl in Thaumcraft 6, I mean, you're pretty much at the end game. That's like the hardest, I think probably the hardest item in the mod to get, I would say. Okay, so our Void Metal Essentia Smeltery, what we can do is we can pull up this one. Remember, this Thaumium Essentia Smeltery is a 90% base efficiency. This one is 95%. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Now, I will say, I want to say it's a little bit slower than the Thaumium Essentia Smeltery. And I'm going to go ahead and break and replace these. I don't know if it's going to cause an issue with them already being there or not. Alright, so there's our Void Metal Essentia Smeltery. I think this one's a little bit slower, if I recall, than the Thaumium one, but it's more efficient. That's the most important thing. Speed, not that big of a deal. Honestly, I'm actually probably going to want to craft another one of these to automate aluminum with. I do believe. Because we're going to want to smelt that stuff down and keep it smelted down and stuff. So we may end up setting up another one of those. But for right now, 1 is fine. Now over here, I want to show you really, really quick. Whenever you get your Primordial Pearl initially, and then after you use it and stuff, after you use up some uses, what you can do is, if we come over here, I actually set this up the other day because I wanted to repair my Demonic Rapier because I was killing stuff and it took some damage. Why does it still say broken? It shouldn't be broken. Oh, I ran out the durability. Killing tentacles. But anyways, back over here, I set this up the other day, and it's just a basic, it's another cyclic item that's really, really good. And that is the Diamond Anvil. I've got it sitting right back here, the Powered Diamond Anvil. And what you can do is you can put anything with durability in here, and it will repair it, unless it's blacklisted. The mod does allow for you to blacklist things so that they can't be repaired, but this mod has no blacklist. So, Primordial Pearls, we can repair those using the Powered Diamond Anvil. So technically we have a Primordial Pearl here with infinite durability. And then we can just keep it repaired up. Okay, so let's pop back down. And now that we got that, I was considering mirror magic. I was actually originally planning on doing mirror magic over here with the warded jars. But then I got to thinking, that's just going to be more flux. Like unnecessary flux. Because it does, the mirrors in this version of Thaumcraft generate flux. I don't know if we're going to bother with it. I've got to figure out exactly how I want to lay out these jars, and then I'll have to decide, do I want to do mirror magic? It's not a big deal if we have to clean it up, but right now, I'm going to leave this as is. Okay, so we got the Void Metal Essentia Smeltery. Now the next thing, before we actually start smelting anything down, because we actually have 60.2 flux in this area. It's not a lot. It's not going to do anything, really. But I still would feel better if we got rid of it. So I want to get into flux cleanup. And this right here, we need to make the flux condenser, and then we need to make at least one flux condenser lattice. I'm actually only going to go with one, because the more lattice that you attach, you get higher and higher costs. And they do have diminishing returns. So, we're going to go with just one. It's not as fast, but from what I can tell, there's nothing really in this pack that we need just super automation for Thaumcraft in. You know. I mean, I saw we're going to use some void metal at endgame and some stuff like that, but, I mean, it's not just massive amounts of it. So, for this, we're going to need some brass plates, which means I'm actually going to have to go... Oh, I'm going to have to go craft more brass. Or I could go ahead and set up the mystical construct. Yeah, let's go ahead and set up the mystical construct. Might as well. Might as well go ahead and do this. Okay, for this, what we're going to need to do, let's get ourselves some Essentia tubes. Let's get... this is a big mess in here. It's just a really big mess. Yeah, we'll set up this over here. And then any automation I do, I can put smelteries back in here. That'll be fine. So we'll set up a couple cauldrons right there. Let's hit them both with Salus Mundus. And then we're going to put alchemical constructs on top of it like that. And like that. And then I'm actually going to need 2 more pieces of Salus Mundus. We'll go ahead and hit that. Hit that. And we'll give them just a minute. There was actually a quest for this, if you recall. We already turned it in. But we're just now making them. Because basically, the multi-blocks, they just want you to collect the stuff needed to make it. So right there, the alchemical construct. Okay, so now we really don't have that many quests left. Like, at all. So now that we have the Thaumatoriums, what we're going to do is we're going to set up some recipes here. And in the case of the brass, what I want to do is... let's see. Brass was 5 instrumentum to get the alchemical brass. So let's go ahead and just toss this into there. And, oh yeah, some coal. And let's see, right now we have 60.2 flux in here. So we're going to give it just a bit. And we're going to see how much flux it gets for a stack of flint with the new smelter. It's not going to be a whole lot. It really doesn't generate much at all. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure I know why our UU matter turned to water. I don't think it was a server restart. I think what happened was I cast an ice spell at the Runic Matrix to start it. I think it probably turned that into ice. And then whenever it thawed, it turned back into water instead of UU matter. And I think that's what caused it. So I think if I didn't use an ice spell on the Runic Matrix, we would have been okay with the UU matter. So I just have to change this back out. But okay, our flint is done. We got our instrumentum. And if we look over here, we are up to 62.2. So we generated just a little bit of flux. Smelting 32 flint. You know what? I almost forgot to put a heat source underneath this. Whoops. Okay. Let's put... These are going to require a heat source. Which is basic. They don't need water, but they do need a heat source. So, whoops. Okay, so let's just put down some yellow nitor under both of these. Which works fine as heat. And then we're going to take our iron. We're going to put this in. We're going to select alchemical brass. You can see it needs 5 instrumentum. So let's just drop down our warded jar, our Essentia tube, and it's going to start pulling that instrumentum. And if you watch it, it's going to dump out our alchemical brass out the front. Now we can put a chest right here, like any kind of inventory here on the front. There we go. And it will dump that stuff into the chest. So let's pop up to the AE2 area. Now eventually, whenever we set up our actual setup, which we're going to be doing next episode, like the legit setup, for all of our alchemy needs. We're not going to be using Essentia Tubes. We're also not going to be using chests. We're going to get into, I think, golems, I think is what I want to do for that. But for now, this will be fine. I want to do, let me make a couple buttons. And one thing I do want to do is in this one, I want to go ahead and specify this one's going to make thaumium. I don't want to make alchemical brass and thaumium in the same Thaumatorium, because whenever I put iron in there, I don't want it to be like, well, do I make thaumium or do I make brass? I want it to be specified. So that's why we're going to have two Thaumatoriums. In situations like that, this one can only make thaumium, this one can only make alchemical brass. And then we're going to take and just put down our chests on the front of this. And then we'll just pop in our iron, and we'll let that start crafting. Okay, and you can see the alchemical brass gets thrown into the chest there. Now, we can also craft mnemonic matrices for this. We are going to get into that in just a minute. But for right now, what I want to do, now that we've got our alchemical brass coming in, I want to go back to flux cleanup. The flux condenser, we're going to need 4, and then we're going to need a couple thaumium plates, a couple more brass plates. The thaumium, I think I have plenty of that on hand. The morphic resonator, more brass plates. The flux condenser lattice is more thaumium plates. Okay. So let me just get, I'm going to leave a lot of this brass in here. I'm going to grab like 16 brass. We're just going to make like 16 plates. It's a little bit more than what I need, but you go through this alchemical brass and alchemical brass plates so much that it's not going to hurt to have a bit extra of that, honestly. Okay, so the flux condenser, the morphic resonator, there's that. And then we need the complex arcane mechanism, the simple arcane mechanisms. There's 2 of those. And then we need the complex arcane mechanism, there's that. Then we need that, the flux condenser. And then we also need the right there, that's a clogged flux condenser lattice. We'll get into that a bit later, probably. Basically, whenever this thing runs, there's a chance after it runs for a bit that it will get clogged. You just have to put in a new filter. One of these Essentia filters if that happens. But until you do, it can't work anymore. And then we'll get our flux condenser lattice. Okay, so let's set this up. For right now, I'm going to set it up. I'm actually probably going to end up having 2 of these, like one over there and one over here. Well, no. Actually, they'll probably all be over here. Because whenever we set up, I'm going to have the alumentum automation right back here. I'm going to have these 2 set up for automation, and then we're going to have, you know, the jars right in there. Come on. And then we're going to have the smelteries right in here. So it's going to be a little bit different than this layout. But is there any flux in this that I can just go ahead and clean up just to show you? I guess I could set it up over there, but there's a little bit of flux. There's 35.8. Yeah, we'll clean up this area. So let's check our chunk boundaries. Oh, that's perfect. It's all going to be... Yeah, because the smelteries are going to sit right here. It should all be within this chunk. I might actually set them back by 1, in truth. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up like right over here, off to the side. We are going to set up our flux condenser, and we'll just have this setting. I'll tell you what. Let me grab a warded jar. I'll go ahead and get a label. I'm not for sure if this can feed directly into a warded jar or if it needs a tube. No, it looks like it connects just fine with just the jar. So we're going to set the flux condenser right there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set up a flux lattice just right here on top. And basically what this does is it takes flux from the air, and then it sends it down to the flux condenser. The flux condenser breaks it down into flux essentia, and then it gets piped out the bottom into, say, the warded jar right there. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to feed this any kind of flux. If you're only using 1 lattice, it's about 5, or not any kind of flux, any kind of essentia. If you're using the lattice, just one of them, it's about 5 essentia per flux that it removes, per point of flux. Let me go deal with this real quick. We're gonna need to take a bath soon, make some purifying bath salts. We might do it this episode. It'll probably be maybe next episode, judging by the time at the moment. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this to our advantage to get rid of some of this essentia that we have building up that we really don't have much use for. Is kind of what I'm thinking. So, for example, like Yeah, we'll take this metallum. I don't have a whole lot of uses for metallum. So let's grab that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to attach it right there. And you can see it's pulling out some essentia, and it's going into our flux condenser. And if we take a look, it's 35.8 at the moment. And it's going to take a while. It's not the fastest thing in the world. It is going to take a while for it to run. But it should break it down about 5 essentia per point of flux that it's absorbed. I can't remember how much metallum was in here, but maybe 40 or something like that. But anyways, if you do more flux lattices, it's going to speed up the rate that it breaks down the flux, like the rate that it absorbs and breaks it down. But it's going to be a bit more costly on essentia. So it kind of just depends on, you know, how much flux do you have. There we go. See, we got a point of vidium right there. And it looks like it's still 35.8. Yeah, see, it finally backed up on essentia. There's 48 in there. It's not pulling any more potentia, essentia. After a while of this running, we should see the flux amounts in this chunk drop. So it does take a little while. It's not fast by any stretch of the imagination. Multiple lattices, yeah, you can make it a bit faster, but then you have the higher essentia cost. So you kind of just have to figure out which way you want to go with it. So, but it should be enough to offset what we're going to be smelting down over here with the furnace and everything. You know what? 60.2. This has actually dropped 2 points, and this is now down to 34.8. So it's actually pulling flux from this and this chunk. Now, eventually, this chunk's going to run out of flux because I'm not going to smelt things down here after next episode. But it is pulling from both of these chunks, which is good. That is very, very good. 34.8. Awesome. And you can see it's slowly pulling that potentia now. It has like a buffer that it can fill up with any type of essentia. I mean, you could pump in one of every type of essentia. It's all going to stack together because it basically just stores it as points. And then it consumes that slowly to break down the flux. Yeah, 59.2. There's another point down. And we're getting 1 point of vidium for every point that it breaks down. So a little bit of passive vidium, I guess, but not really a source of it, but it's something. Okay, so now that that's in place, and I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just going to feed it like lots of the essentia that I'm not using, because I have a lot of the stuff that, you know, I'm just not using metallum for much of anything at the moment, or, I mean, there's a couple things that use metallum, but, void metal actually uses metallum, so we'll use a little bit there, but, I don't know, I may not use any past that point. But I do have some of these other ones that I'm not using a ton of. 58.2. It's pulling more from that chunk than this chunk, really. But that's one of the 2 main ways to clear out flux in an area. The other one being rifts. Rifts can actually clear out flux pretty well, too. Like stabilized, but... Okay, so we got that up and going. And the next thing I want to do is I want to turn our attention towards actually completing a quest today. The Greater Foci. We unlock the research if we craft this. And it requires 100 vacuos, 25 percantio, 50 ordo, which I actually just used up all my percantio. And then it requires a blank advanced focus that we made last episode, a couple pieces of quicksilver, a nether star, and a point off our primordial pearl. Not terribly bad to craft. Okay, so I need the vacuos. Is the main thing that I need. And that's what I have all these glass bottles here for. Is for making vacuos. I'm going to toss in like a half stack in there and let it start smelting down. I don't think I'm going to have a jar for either of these things. Oh, we got this one. This is actually a really cool one. Mine spiders. It spawns these little mine spiders. They don't do any damage, but they do kind of push you around and stuff. Just kind of a cool little thing. There we go. They actually drop Inferium Essence too. And honestly, we're probably going to get into growing some V crystals here soon, and Percantio is going to be, I think, one of the big ones that we do. Because Percantio is kind of a pain to get. I mean, later on, we could probably do it pretty easily with like nether stars, something like that. But even still, I mean, most of the things have just a ton of extra different types of essentia that you don't really want. So I do think we will probably Probably automate those in V crystal form before long. Okay, but I should have everything that I need. I've got the Vacuos right there. I've got the Percantio right there. We should be good. We should be good to do this. So let's go ahead and lay this out. We're going to have the Blank Advanced Focus right there. Then we're going to have Quicksilver there. There. Nether Star. Primordial Pearl. And what's the instability on this? High? Moderate. Oh, okay. Alright. And then we'll just smack that. And there we go. It's going to start draining. And we're on our way to making the top tier focus. And in the quest book, this is actually, I'd say, the hardest quest to complete because you have to get a Primordial Pearl. And it's the only one really that's not like... I mean, the rest of these we could knock through like it's nothing. We will be finishing the Thaumcraft tab probably next episode. We'll see. Let's see. What's it take? We're probably going to have to get into Purifying Bath Salts and Sanity Soap here soon. That's not too bad. Sanity Soap, not too bad. Just requires a lot of Essentia. Like, so much Essentia. Okay, it's pulling in the items right now. There we go. There is our blank Greater Focus. And you can see our Primordial Pearl, 1 durability off of it. Awesome. And that means, let's see, first up we can complete Aromancy, this right here. We can go ahead and complete that. Done. Research completed, Greater Foci. And we are now 91% in Aromancy. There's actually right here is Curse. I was looking in my test world. It's Curse. So that's something that we can unlock. But I know Arcane Infusion, this is like, down here there's the other stones, which we can't unlock yet, I don't believe. But anyways, with our blank Greater Focus, we can make ourselves, if I can find my Focal Manipulator, we can make ourselves a new really nice spell. So let's go ahead and drop this right into there. And we're going to make a new, since I lost my old Bolt Ice spell, we're going to make a new one. And I'm actually probably going to end up making like a Fire spell, an Earth spell, something like that. But, okay, I'll tell you what. I've done some thinking, and I think what we're going to do, because the Blank Greater Focus has so much complexity cap, we're going to do something even more useful to us than a damage spell. I will probably end up making some damage spells because I like them, but I would like to keep the cost low so I can kind of like burst fire it. But what we're going to do, and this is going to be kind of fun, we're going to make ourselves a super mining, basically for breaking down stuff, we're going to make a super mining spell. Okay? Something a little bit more fun than just doing another damage spell. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bolt spell, or we could do a touch spell. No, we'll do a bolt. Yeah, we'll do a bolt. Okay, we're going to do a bolt spell that has cloud on it. Creates a lingering cloud of magical energy that affects anything inside. And then we're going to do, for the effect, we're going to do break. Summons disruptive energy that breaks down most materials. Okay, so then what we're going to do, bolt, you can see we can't customize this at all. And you can see we're at a 15 complexity at the moment. Cloud, we can customize. Duration and radius of the cloud that's formed. And then break, we can customize with either Silk Touch or Fortune. And the nice thing is Fortune, we can take it all the way up to Fortune 4. Now, later on, whenever we get further into Astral Sorcery, of course, we can do higher level Fortune. But normally 3 is the max, right? So if we did a Fortune 4, we could get more diamonds, more emeralds, more draconium, more redstone, all that stuff. And then you also have breaking strength right here. We're going to go ahead and set this to 5, which is the max. So that way we can break anything, or should be able to break anything with this spell. The funny thing is you can actually do Silk Touch and Fortune if you so desire, but we don't want to. Okay, so you can see the complexity is now 42 out of 50. That's fine. Let's go back to the cloud, and we're going to bump the radius up to 3, which is the maximum. So a 3-block radius is going to have this cloud around it. And then we're going to set the duration up as high as we can before we break the complexity cap. Okay, 30 seconds is the limit. We can do 29 seconds. It's going to be 10V per cast. A little bit expensive, but it's not something that we're going to spam. And then Potentia, Alchemia, and Perdito that we're going to need. Okay, so let me go get Potentia, Perdito, Alchemia. Okay, I've got Perdito and Potentia. I do not have Alchemia. I do have the Essentia right here, though. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And this is actually ran down. I'm going to toss this Herba in here because I really don't use Herba for much of anything. But it stockpiles super fast. So I want to get that gone. Okay, and we're going to put our Quartz Sliver into here. And we're going to find Alchemia. And these are all in alphabetical order. It's this one right here that we want. There we go. And we'll just go ahead and attach that. There we go. There is our Alchemia V crystal. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss this back in. Alchemical brass, please. And thank you. Okay. And we'll get mnemonic matrices. It probably won't be this episode, but we will get them. Judging by the time on this video. Okay, so we've got all the crystals that we need. Let's go ahead and craft. And it's going to have to drain quite a bit of V out of this. That's fine. But it's going to be a fun spell to use, I think. I really do. I think it's going to be a bit of fun. Okay, so while that's running, let's pop up. And you know, I've actually been gathering a lot of metals with Silk Touch. Okay, so let's pop over to the drawer area. And right in here, this is all stuff that can be, well, it's processed differently. So let's grab like diamond ore, emerald ore. But this will be for whenever I get a lot of materials built up. Okay, so we got a blank greater focus, bolt, cloud, and break. No silk touch, fortune 4, breaking strength of 5. Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and equip that. Seriously, I got a natural hunger again? I swear it's like all the time. Oh, and by the way, we completed this quest here. The blank greater focus. Let's go ahead and get our loot chest. There we go. And what did we get? Something cool? No. Something that's not cool at all. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I just came up here to kind of give us some space. Let's go ahead and toss down our emerald ore. And that's 6 emerald ore. Let's go ahead and... There we go. Oh wait, it's breaking the grass too. Oh, and it's actually not giving us the items. Like, it's grabbing the dirt, but it's not... oh, that's kind of a bummer. And diamond 2 also doesn't work with it, I'm assuming. Okay, that one's a bust. Don't use break right now. It doesn't actually use fortune. It doesn't actually use anything. It just destroys things. And it could have to do with me doing that cloud as well. I don't know. So, okay, so what we're going to do then instead, let's make a damage spell. It's going to be a bolt spell that's going to leave behind a cloud. And this cloud is going to do... And it's going to be frost. So it's going to chill enemies and stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and set the power on this to max, 5. And let's set the duration in seconds to 10. So it's going to chill them for 10 seconds. But the cloud is going to affect a 3 radius for 30 seconds. Okay, so it's going to make a big AoE cloud of chilling frost, is what it's going to do, with high damage. So it's going to keep damaging. It's just going to keep damaging and keep applying that chill effect. So basically it's just going to... It's almost like a root spell to some degree. So, yeah, and I think that's what I want to do. I mean, we could have it also like scatter and like split off into 3 bolts that make clouds of death. They'd be a little bit weaker, but that's fine, I think, at that point. Yeah, we're going to do that. So it's going to be a Gellum, Alchemia, and Potentia V crystal that we need. Okay, so let's work on changing that over. And we'll get our big damage spell. And we'll try that thing out. And also bear in mind, it's also going to create ice with it. I mean, it could have some other uses there, since it can turn water into ice. But I think for the most part, it's just going to be for like mass killing. But my idea is that it would be really useful for the Gaia Guardian fight, because we could shoot those bolts down around us, like, you know how the mobs, he'll jump up in the air and he'll spawn those mobs in that area. We can throw a bolt down of that ice right below him, and it's just going to constantly just kill all those mobs as they spawn. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is it's just going to be like a big 30-second AoE of death. And then after 30 seconds, we can just recast it again, you know, whenever it's about to wear off. And then it kind of negates that whole mob phase of the Gaia Guardian fight. Because we're going to be doing Gaia Guardian before too long, So it's something that we could use against him. Plus, it might actually damage him. I don't know if the chill effect would really work, but it might actually damage him. But, I mean, he teleports around, so it's not going to make a big difference. But it's too bad that Fortune 4 didn't work. I mean, Fortune 3 might work, or it might work if I didn't have it as a cloud of, like, constant destruction, but that's fine. It's still kind of fun to play around with. Hopefully, you know, that'll probably get fixed at some point, but... And I want to go find something to kill. Actually, the temporary thaum area would be perfect. There's always stuff here to kill. Alright, and chances are, you have to bear in mind, chances are this is actually going to hurt us too. So, we got to be careful with it. Okay, right there's a little taint tendril. So we're going to go ahead and cast that on the ground. Look at that. Yeah. It does, it does hurt me too, so. But yeah, it's just, it shreds those taint tendrils. It does. Let's cast it on one of these giant taint seeds. I can do without all of these giant taint seeds. We'll actually go up here. I've got a bunch, like right there. And these guys actually have a lot of health. They have 150 health. It actually takes me a second to kill them with my sword. So let's try casting it on one of these guys. Look at that. It's just eating his health. 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage, 4 damage. And I wonder if it's enough to kill a giant taint seed in one shot. Because, I mean, that's actually quite a bit of health. And bear in mind, it's also chilling and slowing in a 3 radius AoE. Look at that. And it probably didn't even use like half the duration. So, it's a pretty good spell. I'm pretty happy with it. Not something that I'm going to be spamming. Even though, technically, if I wanted to, I could, kind of. I mean, you do have a little recharge period. But it's a 30-second cast. Or a 30-second duration. So, I mean, I can make, like, some really nasty AoE fields. with this spell. So, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm glad it works better than our mining spell did. Lord Vision, yay! But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the... Oh, look, I can actually hit F1 and get rid of it. That's nifty. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button. And go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care. Stay safe. I'll see you guys then.